An early afternoon, and I decided to pop in at my usual joint at Newtown to have some food for lunch at Lydia Sari's joint.
Please, what do you have?
I have plain rice, jollof rice.
It's my usual base. Usually, using mobile money also means I'm able to pay for the food I buy from Lydia. By so doing, I also contribute revenue to the state. By talking about revenue,
Ghana, we now have freedom.
Africa wants a freedom.
its generation has always been Ghana's biggest bane since the country's economy started experiencing some turmoil in the 1960s, prior to the overthrow of the Nkrumah-led CPP government. Fast forward, after several coups, structural adjustment programs with the Bretton Woods institutions, Ghana ushered itself into the Fourth Republic. And of course, led by the former military leader Jerry Rawlings, the then NDC government was faced with a roadblock in pushing through its new valued added tax, the VAT. The period preceding its introduction had seen the reputable lawyer and politician Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo lead a strong protest against its introduction.
The policies that the government has been implementing are policies that do not find favor with the general mass of our people.
And the vehement protests, dubbed the Kumi Preko demonstrations, even led to the death of one.
And that the mass of the people of this country have been systematically impoverished during the period of Rawlings' rule. It is not a point of view that has found very much favor in the parts of the world from where you come from, who have been pouring out an endless stream of how so many things wonderful were going on in Ghana.
Since then, a number of taxes or levies have been introduced by our government till today. The National Health Insurance Levy, the GET Fund, the Energy Sector Levy, a sanitation tax, among others, all approved by Ghana's parliament.
After considerable deliberation, government has decided to place a levy on all electronic transactions to widen the tax net and rope in the informal sector. This shall be known as the Electronic Transaction Levy or E-Levy. Electronic mobile money payments, bank transfers, merchant payments, and e-mode remittances will be charged at an applicable rate of 1.75%, which shall be borne by the sender, except e-mode remittances, which will be borne by the recipient. Mr. Speaker, to safeguard efforts be made to enhance financial inclusion and protect the vulnerable, all transactions that add up to 100 Ghana cedis or less per day, which is approximately 3,000 Ghana cedis per month, will be exempt from this levy.
It might have sounded like one of the non-controversial things that might have ever been said by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. But that day when he announced the introduction of the E-Levy, subsequently, it became the talk of town. He did that right here in Ghana's Parliament House. And it's still the same Parliament that is making sure this E-Levy is not being passed. How are members of Parliament going to navigate from both sides of the House to make sure they come to some consensus on this important levy for the executive of government, but also the people of Ghana?
If you were remitting just 1 million as a business person, what we do know is that government tax income and revenue and not capital. So if you are sitting somewhere in Tamale or in Sombo or in Swami, and you are buying parts in Abosi-Okai, and you just transferred 1 million Ghana cedis, you would lose 17,000 of that money.
These strong-worded comments from the NDC, while not unusual from all opposition benches in the Fourth Republic, however, ignited some strong sentiments among their members.
If Ken Ofori-Atta tells Ghanaian people deceptively that telecos have agreed to reduce their charges by 0.25%, of what? Because the regime you are seeking to tax is not what they tax. They were on fees with limitations of capping. To this extent, we'll take something from you Outside it, we would not. Two main things form the basis for the introduction of the E-Levy: our roads and job creation. Roads is a major concern. People have worked, they have to be paid. There's no money. Government is getting 6 million a month from road tolls. What can 6 million do? Sometimes we have money we can't disburse, 30 million. You don't know who to pay. So a new system is being introduced, a system that would allow for regular, sufficient, reliable inflow. Government has identified this as a low-hanging fruit.
We're all well aware of the most controversial issue in Parliament, the E-Levy.
In the public space, the media had latched onto various concerns expressed by various audiences in the public.
And Rahim, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Now, the question on my mind is that could we have, for example, held these town hall meetings earlier?
Whether social media or mainstream, it would look like the voice of concerned resistance to what has now been tagged the E-Levy has been overwhelming.
Because, you know, these town hall meetings are as a consequence of the rejection of the minority in Parliament of the passage of the legislation that will back the E-Levy.
For good intent, the E-Levy, according to government, is expected to generate at least 6 billion cedis in revenue in the 2022 financial year. More so, among others, to annually support road infrastructure development and also improve public transportation, including the purchases of buses, support entrepreneurship, youth employment, cybersecurity, and digital infrastructure. First of all, the resistance from the corridors of the political elite have since created difficulties for its passage.
It's so convenient to sit behind your desk or sit in your shop in the market and transact with the bank, do your payments. And now you also have PAPs. You can pay across the African continent and worldwide. So, like it or not, business is migrating onto the internet. $1 billion CD market is worth $160 million. No economy can avoid engaging and growing. That is $1 billion cedis and growing, because billion cedis are December ending. It's growing. More and more businesses are finding it useful to go there. And so no government can afford not to engage.
While the upstate politicians may be expressing their own views, what really are the implications of the levy on the mobile money industry and generally other electronic services? We decided to visit Professor Ebu Texan, a lead economist at the economics department of Ghana's premier tertiary school, the University of Ghana. For a start, what were his initial reactions after hearing that announcement last November?
I was in the office listening, and I remember I put a post on Facebook instantly. When I heard it, within a few minutes, I said, wow, what happens to financial inclusion? Aren't we using the low-hanging fruits rather than looking for more very thought-through ways of collecting tax revenue? And that was mine, especially on the Momo.
In all truism, Ghana's electronic transaction sector, especially for mobile money, has been growing exponentially over the last decade.
Now, Ghanaians, nobody wants to pay tax. So any introduction of taxes will come with some sort of reluctance. I mean, people will say, no, we cannot pay. But what's important is that if there has been a consultation before that process, people make up their minds. Arguments to and fro would also ensure that the government will listen to others who might have some very good points to make to shape that proposal of the new tax that is going to be introduced. So if you look at what is happening currently, the Minister of Finance has gone, okay, 1.5. Could we have had this discussion way before?
Daily transactions have always increased on the platform since mobile money was introduced. And for activities like this, it would also mean that when these are taking place, it's the whole environment and the sector that is a big gainer, but also individual Ghanaians who have constantly become now used to making sure they load their monies on the mobile money platforms or their wallets and are able to use. And that's why you see something like this going on.
Now let's take you through some figures. By January 2021, roughly 39% of people aged over 15 had a mobile money account. 3 years earlier, 2018 exactly, the share was only 13%. Now, while by 2020, Africa, according to the GSMA Group, had a transaction volume of some $495 billion, it is West Africa that followed East Africa with the second biggest volume with $178 billion. In Ghana, the numbers have also been telling. 20 billion in 2016, 35 billion 2017, 2018, 48 billion, 2020, $99 billion, and by December ending 2021, $150 billion, and a CD equivalent of 978 billion. With this growth, we went to the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications to seek some answers to some probing questions in our minds. First, with transaction volumes of some 978 billion cedis, the mobile money companies have no business telling government taxation is unfair. And so, why are there issues with the way the E-Levy was being introduced?
When the Minister for Finance went to Parliament and announced the E-Levy, there had not been any consultation this year. No consultation at all. So we did not have any input into the policy proposal as was announced in Parliament in the budget statement. And, I'm pretty sure if we had had the engagement prior to that, we would have had a better bill in Parliament, and all this brouhaha that had followed the E-Levy would not have happened.
Back in town, Lydia Dro continues with her food retailing business.
At first, I remember when the old overhead bridge was there, I remember I was going to market with a lot of money and Arabs took the money from me. So since mobile money came, it's helping me to resist all this personal attack and even getting lost of some of my money.
And integral to this is the use of mobile money and other electronic transactions for our daily activities.
At first, you hold a huge amount of money before you can purchase raw materials for cooking. Maybe onion, tomatoes, rice, all this stuff. I need to go with money before I can buy. But for now, mobile money, for the sake of mobile money, I can send the money to my customers, those whom I buy the rice from or those whom I buy onion from. I can send them the money and they can bring it to me through maybe a delivering agency. It can be a taxi, it can be a motorcycle rider, and it will come to my destination. The only thing I need to do is I'll pay for the TNT, the transportation, but for my money, I've been sending a lot.
Several meters away, we decided to also make some more observations.
Mobile money there, me the aboa me kwan bebre so. Ebi wa obi bre me nioma. Wa okọ kwan so. Ah obi a me nua ba send sika ma me na ebi a me mfamfa na obi a nipa no so me de ka. Enti me send ama no. Se de be ya de betimi so menya bia eden aton. E na de etoso mienu ebi a ukru ni wo nchen. Wakọ ba bi wo ma school fees. Na wa send ama na de akotu ya se na ebi a yenye de yempam mma. De etoso nso ebi a me ton ade obi be ba obeto bi onya bi open so onkita sika wo nsa. Obe mobile money ama me. E don so eye na ya ka ne say mobile money de aboa bi bebre. Aboa me pa ye good eye.
The introduction of the electronic levy as to what has now become designated as the E-Levy has brought a lot of reactions. Well, it depends on which side of the political divide you find yourself. Among the citizenry, the concern is if this is passed or approved by Parliament, there could be some ramifications on the usage of mobile money as well as other electronic transactions. But there are bigger questions to be asked. Are we going to see a drop in terms of consumer behavior in the usage of Momo because of the introduction of the E-Levy? We're at Accra's biggest electronic app where they do a lot of retailing of these products. And we're talking about the tiptoe lane. We're here to sample some views.
Initially from a position of 1.75% and now 1.5%, this is expected to be tabled before Parliament. And for the ordinary Ghanaian, they seem to have a lot to say.
I say business in Kakranka, and one business because we bet me a cotari be now niska mobile money now be issue. But sometimes till company MTN company no a better first. That's to see also I buy so per se or TN. Ni be say no a be higher drink kakra all because no a Kakranka ye juma. Na company net na I buy so TN. Me to me no emboa me nti ne yebesere aban no na kwae bibi kakra fa a ebeboa ye ni bi afianse ne start abrabo no because already no company ne tie na say aban so bete ndia wa cho be haye kakra.
For mobile money there every blessed day we dey use every blessed day because even sometimes customers they come buy from we get customers with them they far we get customers with them they Takwa Kumasi we dey send them goods. This an online business then, so we send them goods and then today for pay with mobile money. Sometimes somebody will come back from another day. For pay sometimes maybe 2K, sometimes 3K in the bab. So this mobile money issue then start they do with they worry with the business people, they worry with power because just imagine say I get my customer where they come and say and the person won't come back from my day or they come buy my game or my stuff. I for send give you to go send me the money. But if you tear me that much, if I can't say they can't tell me that much, how will be able to my business will even be able to grow. It worry. So we hear this can use that. It don't make we happy at all. And we don't know if because the first one and they don't feel pass because of the help of this NDC MPs. They help we wait, you know. But right now what they hear we say I don't them MP they say them put injection for a top, you don't go feel vote. All those things be confusing to we, especially with the business people. These things they be some way they worry we boss.
Just across the lane, we chance on this used clothing business retailer. Insisting on us calling him by his alias Italian, he seemed to have made up his mind. The current structure of the E-Levy was just not good for his business.
Because of my business, on cash, I also send him out. And we try to be some mobile money. And your hobby brave, because because I said your hobby brave, no. Yeah, hustlers, you know. You don't so chair, Sabi, almost so what I say? Yeah, to find home compare despite no no. Yeah, ton. Na say ton say. E dey my banana ton dey back na so betin sa 10 cedi na. Ah boss and sound clear. And sound clear kula. I'm telling you. Enti no on here futuo. Na advance anu frɛ no ni nkasa. Anya sa dia boss o person how about man him. Yeah, hustlers no so ya dozo chen. Omo nyuma no. And
along the stretch, other small business owners seem to have same mindsets.
To you, I'm sending something to different people. Like it means I'm paying these charges, I'll pay the other, and I'll pay. No, that one is too much. Like it's not real. That one I can't afford. On a more serious note, I can't afford.
So would you want something to be done about it?
Yeah, something must be done about it. Like if they are taking that amount from only one person, that one is cool, but they can't take from this one, another person and the other. No, that one is too much.
Back on the University of Ghana, we asked Professor Texan why these views being expressed by small business owners were important.
What I was not too comfortable about was the one on the Momo transactions, because Momo transactions at times involve just a movement of resources around for the convenience of usage. So for instance, I can move money from my bank account into my Momo account because when I go to that shop to buy, they want Momo and I can pay by Momo. They don't have a POS. So it is the freedom to move resources to enable us have the convenience of involving ourselves with transactions without using cash. That makes people transfer those money. So if we are going to tax electronic transactions, I think that our focus should not be on those transactions. Our focus should be on commercial transactions online. And in almost every country, they collect taxes on that. So it's important that if we had enough consultation and discussion, we could have fashioned a way of still coming up with an E-Levy that might even be higher than it 1%, because if it's for commercial transactions and it's 4%, why not?
According to a 2019 report by the National Board for Small-Scale Industries, now the Ghana Enterprises Agency, specifically in Ghana, micro, small, medium enterprises sector is even more magnified as it employs more than 80% of the workforce and also generates 70% of the national output.
Mobile money has become big business since it was first introduced in East Africa a couple of years ago. And in Ghana, I should say across the West African sub-region, it is big business. And that is why it is important the state or government should engage citizens on why this big circulation in value of money that is always going on the platform needs to be taxed. Because no matter the circumstances, once transaction volumes keep increasing, it would mean that some revenue or taxes will need to be raised on them. But when should these be done? And should citizens be engaged?
When you look at how the country is going right now, and you are going to be charging us these taxes, I mean, as young Ghanaians, I mean, it's too high. And right now, there are no jobs in the country. A lot of guys that I know personally who are sitting home, who are not working. So if you put all these taxes on us, how do you expect some of us? And most of the guys also home right now, they are not receiving monthly salaries. So how do you expect them to pay some of these taxes? Which I think it's too high.
Abai no ba so be boy. Enya so ba se obeku yen. What you say? San say se bia sika ya sen ne me no. Na mi koyi. Mi me school fees nti na mi koyi. Ne bia school fees na mi koyi no. Na se ye be san te so a. Emoa me. What you say? Ena de to so mienu. Ebi amafo obi nioma. What you say? Me send this scam and ye te. Oba nioma no be to so ama me because mobile money no ya to so. Nti ono so be to so ama me. Ebe ma man e mu be ya den mo. Enti ya slap ban no. Eno de onyin free mu. Ena de to so mienu no. Biti we min kita car. What you say? Di okita car na okono. Onu na esa ban tua edi ni ton. Na sa on di ton no de be ka mobile money one. Na just be me ba ekita phone e bi o 10 years and 13 years me be do metin nka. Na bia me mobile money. Na me ba no so be tua sa and de be hard.
Nobody say we don't want to pay. If you know that the telcos are making so much, I think there is a way to go to the telcos and say that you are making so much. We want part of your money. It is not that you come and then muddy the whole thing and then put everybody in danger. How? I can't understand that. Government will be looking at over 400,000 people who are enjoying themselves and doing very well, instead of them you to come and say, okay, you are doing very well. I want to open it up for you so that you can employ more people. Those who can employ these people. These are the people that over there they need employment. Take these people. I think it would have served better. And the same thing, the same people who pay taxes.
The E-Levy is vital to growing the internal capacity of this economy beyond aid. Once we have that levy, we are in a position to create a sustainable process of production and jobs.
If you look at post-COVID, look at the number of people who are now, using e-commerce to do business. What we should be doing is that we should not be taxing anybody's capital. What we should be doing is that what profits are they making, and find ways in which we would be able to tax them after they've made their profit, but not the movement of cash. So those are the conversations that I am hoping that we can do that a lot more dispassionately, take the politics out of it and figure out ways in which we can do this that would be of benefit to Ghana, and also make sure that we don't grind the system to a halt.
The extent to which we can collect tax revenues will hit the maximum. Thereafter, if we still have these fiscal challenges, then it means that we've done a lot on the revenue side in terms of revenue mobilization. We need to go to expenditure side to rationalize our expenditure, prioritize our expenditure. When they show leadership from Parliament from the executive. I think that when Ghanaians have to contribute more for the development of Ghana, I don't think that people have problems about it. At times, people see what is going on at the highest level, and they are being asked to pay more taxes, and they are asking very legitimate questions. I mean, why should we pay more to fund the luxury of the executive or parliamentary system?
And as government goes around the country undertaking its town hall meetings on why the E-Levy is important, it certainly looks like the reactions from ordinary citizens or Ghanaians have not only been mixed, but also brings to the fore the need to intensify these efforts to deepen the understanding for introducing the electronic transfer levy.